Hey everybody, welcome back to Heart Breathings. I have a highly requested, very long, very detailed, and super fun video for you today where I am going to walk you through exactly how I have set up my dashboard in Notion and how I am using it to track my goals and get stuff done. This has potentially been the very busiest quarter of my entire life, and I have been steadily getting stuff done and still able to spend time with my family, being really focused when I need to, and being really, really clear on exactly what needs to get done. And Notion has been a big part of that, and I'm excited to show you exactly how I have it set up. So there's going to be two main parts to this video. The first is going to be a walkthrough of basically how I set up my main dashboard to look aesthetic and to match exactly how I wanted it to function. And then the second part of the video, the longer part of the video, is going to be all about how I actually set up a database to track my goals and then connected that database to my dashboard so that I could see exactly what I was supposed to be working on this week and this week alone. And I could see an overview of my monthly calendar. And I actually was able to set up a Kanban board just like I have on the wall inside Notion. And it's been life-changing for me to have that instead of having to write everything down in a daily planner. Now, don't get me wrong, I am still using my planners, but I wanted to create a system that I could do with my team and that could follow me on my phone or whichever desktop I was on. And Notion has definitely done that for me. So I can't wait to share it with you. For those of you who are brand new to this system of goal setting or brand new to my channel, the HB90 system is my 90-day planning system where I teach you how to set goals that work as big, broad umbrellas. So this is the outcome I'm trying to achieve. So if you said I wanted to increase my following by 10,000 followers, that is the outcome goal that you're searching for. And then the system walks you through a way of determining which projects will help you hit that goal, but also which projects you actually have time to complete this quarter based on your available time and your other commitments. And it allows you to find that balance between all your different goals, all the different things that you're trying to accomplish so that you don't put too much on your plate. And this is a 90-day planning system where you have those goals, you set projects to help you achieve those goals, and then you break those projects down into tiny bite-sized tasks. And this has truly changed my life. I don't do it perfectly because I still tend to put too much on my plate just because it's my personality to want to achieve more and more, but it helps rein me in and it helps me actually focus on the things that are going to move the needle in my career, that are going to get me the results that I want. And it helps to manage my stress. So if this immediately sounds like something you're interested in, check out the link down below because my HB90 Bootcamp course where I teach you exactly how to follow these steps is open for enrollment. And we will be starting on March 19th. We run this course every quarter and it is so good. And as alumni, you can go through it over and over and over again. You get lifetime access. So come join us in the boot camp, but let's get started. And I'm going to show you exactly how I set up my Notion because I know that there are so many of you that have been interested in Notion, but every time you open up the page, you're like, I have no idea. It can be a real rabbit hole that you can get lost into. And so I'm going to hopefully make it really simple for you. So let's get started. I'm so excited to really get into this and hopefully make it a little bit easier for those of you who have been really wanting to try out Notion, but just not sure where to start to track your goals. So we use it a lot in my business now that I have Renee. And so this Heartlandia section here is Renee's domain. Pretty much she manages that. She's built most of that out along with my previous assistant, Janet, who was also really good at Notion. And we have been using that. But I also have this personal space. And that is one of the cool things is that Notion is totally free if you want to just use it for personal use. If you want to use it for a team so that your assistant can work with you and things like that, then you pay per person and you pay a yearly fee. But it's free if you just want to try it out for your own goals. So I'm going to show you how to basically go from 0 to it looking like this. And we're going to talk about how I'm specifically tracking my HB90 goals in Notion. When you first get started with Notion, I'm going to just create a new page here. This is basically what you get. And I think this is what trips a lot of people up, that they see all of these well built out, beautiful Notion pages, some of them aesthetic, some of them really complex. And they think, oh, I'll open up Notion and it will guide me as to how to create this. But there are lots of tutorials on YouTube. However, when you get started, it's just this very blank page. And so you have to really learn and get your feet wet with Notion to really understand it. So I'm going to start out just by showing you the basics of how I went from 0 page to it looking more aesthetic and pretty like this. And then I'm going to teach you how I set up my task list in HB90 here. So let's go over this pretty briefly. When you first get started, this is what it looks like. And here you can see you've got a title, you can add a cover or an icon. It does have this new prompt that AI will help you write certain pages if you want to use that. You have an option to do an empty page or to use some of their templates here. And this could include templates that you've created, or it could include just their base template. So if you wanted to create a table or a database, if you wanted to create a calendar, so you could do your editorial calendar or just a to-do list or anything like that, you could also import someone else's template here. But we're going to start with an empty page, which is just a blank slate. And I'm going to call this, I'm going to put it all in caps here, and I'm just going to call this Sarah's dashboard. And now what I want to do is I'm going to come over here into the right triple little dots here, and I'm going to make this a full width page because I don't want it to just be in the middle here. I want it to be nice and big so it's covering most of my screen. So I've made that. Now I need to add a cover. Now it's going to just auto populate whatever cover they have in here, and you can click change cover and you can actually look through their gallery of free images if you just wanted to use that, or you could always create your own because you have this option for upload or link, or you can go into Unsplash where there are lots of free images that you can use. Now, I tend to use Canva, and here in Canva, which is also free, you can create a design and click custom size, and you would want to use about 1500 by 600 pixels. So you want this to say PX, and then you can click create new design, and it's going to give you that header size that will look good in Notion. And over here in templates, you will see some options of what it could look like. So that's kind of a cute background there, or something like this. So you could use some of their cute little Notion templates. Actually, I really like this. And you could put your name, Sarah's World or Sarah's Dashboard or Sarah or whatever you wanted to put in here, or you could just leave it like this. I don't usually put text on my headers just because they change, whether you're in mobile, like they are dynamic, so they're going to change. So I like this. I'm going to keep this. I'm just going to download it, and then I will upload it straight into my Notion here by just going to the upload link and clicking upload, and here we go. And that's super cute. And you can reposition it if you want to be like, oh, I really wanted to see that yellow at the top, or oh, I really want to see those clouds. And then you could save the position. And I think that's really cute. You can also add an icon. So if you see down below, I had a little bow there. So you could custom icon, like upload your own icon. If you have, like you're an author and you have your own logo or something like that that you want to use, you could use their icons that are just black and white, or you could use an emoji here. So I'm just going to choose a red heart just to make this easy. But you can see here that I used a Hello Kitty bow that I downloaded from online. And then that emoji that goes in your index or your kind of table of contents over here on the side. So I've got my dashboard. So you can already see how just pretty simply by adding the images, we've already started to build out a little bit more of that aesthetic. So it doesn't really take you a lot of time. Now, there are a couple ways to do the next part. You can just start creating headers and separate things out, or you can go ahead and create columns. I work in 3 columns. When you do a slash command, it's going to bring up all of these blocks, and Notion is put together in blocks. So table block or an audio block or a video block or whatever. And as you begin to work with it, you'll get to know what these blocks are. But I'm going to do 3 columns. I'm going to do /3 and see this 3 columns, and it automatically creates for me 3 columns of space on my dashboard. And now it doesn't go all the way down. It's just these top blocks here. And I'm going to put different things in these blocks. So for one, if you wanted to set it up similar to what I have over here, you can see that I'm using this widget that is a pretty flip clock. I got that from Widgetbox. So Widgetbox is another free tool that you can use, up to 5 free ones, but it's a little bit limited on what you can actually create. So if you scroll down here, you can see the ones that you can create for free, but then there's a lot of them too that are upgrade to create. You'll see a lot of people use this life progress bar, and then you've got a quote widget if you want to put your favorite quote on here, and then you can do a countdown timer. So you can see that what I had used previously is this countdown clock, the digital clock. So I'm just going to use that again. I'm going to copy this URL, and you can play around with that site if you want to. And all you have to do is, in this far block here, I'm just going to put /embed, and that's going to ask me for a link. I paste that link in from the widget box, and it's just going to put that calendar in there, or that clock in there. So that's pretty easy. And then you can kind of, if you hover over, you can kind of see where this column is over here, and you can actually make this widget bigger if you wanted it to fill the whole space, or you could make it smaller. So it's very customizable there. So then I'm going to go over and just kind of hover my mouse until I see this second column, and I'm going to actually make it bigger. So I'm going to make this middle column bigger. And then I'm just going to select the empty block and click the hash, the slash here. And I'm going to give this a heading, and you can go heading 1, 2, or 3 to make it big, medium, or small. So I'm just going to go with a medium heading so that it's smaller than this main dashboard here. And I'm just going to put like daily tasks, so that I have a place where I can keep track of what I'm doing today specifically. And then if I click on this little 6 dots here, there's some options that come up. I can delete it, I can duplicate it, I can turn it into a bigger heading. Like if I decided, you know what, I do kind of want this bigger, I could turn it into, somehow I just turned it into a toggle heading on accident, which is not what I meant to do. Then you could also put some color behind it. So if you wanted to make the text a color, you could do that, or you could use a background color like pink if you wanted to. And then what I have over in my Sarah's World dashboard is I created a daily task list that I can just come in here every single night and put basically a checkbox. So this is to do. And so every day when I sit down, or every night before I go to bed, I'll just write out what my tasks are. So I could say record Notion video, and I still have my caps lock on, so I can take that off. Or I could say update Kanban board, whatever your to-do list is for the day. If you wanted to create a toggle list, then you can do /toggle, and you can see this toggle list comes up here. And I use this for recurring tasks. So I'll say recurring tasks here, and then underneath it, I will put toggles. I'll put things in here that are like to-dos, right? So I'm going to put a to-do list under here, and I could put the things that I know I want to repeat every day. So 60 ounces of water, and treadmill. And if I wanted to put brush my teeth, you could put anything here, make the bed, anything that you know you wanted to do. You could put your social media to-dos on here. So you could put like, you could put Instagram post, Facebook post, create new TikTok, whatever you wanted to do. But this way, because you've done it in a toggle, you can just hide it. So you can see that I do this, and I keep the recurring tasks at the top, and every day I'll click them off, the ones I did. And then when I get up in the morning, I will reset them by just unclicking them, and then click them again throughout the day. And then I'll click these and then delete them when they're done. But the thing about doing it this way in terms of your task list is it doesn't hold on to it in terms of memory or record. So when I delete these because I've used them or I did them, there's no record that I ever did that. So if you're somebody who wants to keep a record of what tasks you actually completed, then you would maybe want to do it a different way. So I'm just going to leave one here so that you can see what this looks like when it's kind of filled out. So we'll come back to the tasks in a minute. Now, if I hover over, I can see where there's another little slider here because I've got that third column. In mine, I am using a countdown widget here. that is telling me how long to the end of the quarter, because I plan in 90-day sections. Oh, actually, first I have a GIF here, and then I have my my widget box. So let me show you about GIFs. Now, obviously, you can go onto any place online and you can look for GIFs, right? And so what I could do is just type like pretty pink GIF. If I know I wanted my aesthetic to be something that is pink, I could just come into Pinterest, or I could go into Google or whatever, and I could see if I could find a GIF that is kind of cute. Like this right here has an aesthetic one. This Spaceland might be something that's really cute. So it's got like little birds flying. That's kind of cute if you wanted to use it. Here's a girl kind of swirling in her chair. That is so cute, right? Obviously, if you're trying to sell templates or you're using this in any commercial capacity, you wouldn't be able to just grab a GIF off somebody's Pinterest board. But if you're using this for personal use, then I don't think there's a problem with it. So I had already grabbed one that I thought was super cute, so I'm just going to use that one. So let's come over here. And once you have it, like let's say you really liked this one that has the birds, you can literally just right click it and click save image as, and then just save the image to your computer. And then once you have that image saved, it's going to save it as an animated GIF. Then you can come over here and click /image and embed it, click upload file. And I had already done this little pink heart one that's putting a heart on a cupcake. And I think that's so cute. So you can just grab this, and again, you can pull it out. If you want to make it full width, you can make it smaller, and then you can move this over so that your daily tasks have a little bit more room on your dashboard. So these columns are movable, and it makes it pretty easy to really play around with how your stuff looks. Now, if I click down a little further on the page, you can see that I no longer have these 3 columns. So if I want to continue using the 3 columns, I would come up here and kind of click on this, and then I would click plus so that I'm adding something else to this column, which is actually what I want to do. And I could put a table of contents or a dashboard or something here that makes things easy, that'll create an outline of my page with links so that I can go to each piece of my page. Then over here, I can continue to have this column, but then underneath that, there would not be the column. See how it's here, but it's not here. So underneath this one, if I click enter, it's going to create something underneath that column. This is where I am going to embed that quarterly countdown link that I had grabbed from the widget box. And now I have that. Now, if I want to make sure that it's the same width as the other thing, I can play around with it. I can make it bigger, or I can make it smaller, just based on the aesthetic and the look that I want. And I know that for so many of us, aesthetic matters. For some of you, it's just the function. So this is kind of the aesthetic portion of the video. And then you would just build it out however you want it to look in terms of what else you want on the page. You can put an image here that's a quote. Again, you can grab those from Pinterest. You can put a calendar here from Widgetbox. You can have a to-do list over here for pages you want to create. Here's that navigation section. So you can really create it how you want. But let's get into how do I actually set my goals here in this. So this is the second half of our video, is the goal setting. So instead of creating my goal setting stuff here, I am actually going to create it on a separate page, and then I'm going to link the database. And this is where Notion really starts to shine, is that you can link your pages together and you can create inline databases that are cross-posted between pages. So all I'm going to do is click to add a page here, and I'm going to say HB90 goals, and I'll just call it that here. And this is going to be, instead of an empty page, I'm going to create a table. Now, this table I could build off of previous pages I've created in Notion, or I can create a new database, which is what I'm going to do. And let me show you exactly how I set up my goals for HB90. So when you go through the HB90 process, you are setting goals, and that becomes your umbrella for what you're trying to accomplish. Here's the outcome I'm trying to achieve. Then underneath that, you decide and determine projects that you believe are going to help you achieve that outcome. I want to gain 10,000 more followers on YouTube. Okay, what projects am I going to take on in order to try to gain more followers? So that could include projects like researching current keywords or trends. It could include taking a course on better video production. It could include buying new equipment. It could include creating new videos, right? So all these different things that I can do are projects. And then underneath those projects, I'm going to have a list of tasks. And tasks are basically just smaller steps. A project is something that might take you all quarter or might take you a whole month to complete, whereas a task is something that you can do in a single afternoon or even a single hour or single session, and it gives you those bite-sized to-dos. So I want to reflect that here in my Notion dashboard, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this table, which is basically like a spreadsheet. It's a database, and I'm going to add properties to it here that reflect those desires. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put in here a checkbox because I like to mark when things are complete. So that's the first thing I'm going to add, and I can just drag this over to the side, and I'm actually going to make it smaller so that I just see the little checkbox, and then I know when this one's done, I can check it off. The next thing I'm going to add here is a select box that's called goal. And I'm going to move that over to be the next thing. And this select allows me to choose or create options that then I can select from the menu. So beneath that, I'm going to say goal number 1, goal number 2, and then goal number 3. In HB90, we typically set 3 goals and 3 goals only. And if you wanted to, when you're creating your own template here in Notion, you could give these goals better titles if you wanted. Instead of just calling them goal 1, 2, and 3, you could give them a name. So for me, my writing career is goal number 1. So I could put writing instead of goal 1. My second goal is always heart breathing, so I could put heart breathings there. So you can title your goals whatever you want them to be. It's also going to automatically give them a color in this select thing, so you can kind of hover over and go to these 3 dots and you can change that background color. So I like to change it to whatever my Post-it note colors are so that I feel color coded with my Kanban board that's physical and on the wall. So I have currently blue, green, and yellow. Goal number 3 is yellow. So now I know they're kind of in line with those colors. So the next thing that I'm going to do is create that second sort of umbrella, which is projects. And I'm going to drag that over as well. And that is also going to be a select property, because when I create a new section, I want to be able to say which goal it's attached to, and I want to say which project it's attached to. So before you can fill all this out, you would need to have set your goals, determined your projects and your tasks and everything else. So this isn't a planning tool. This is here's how I'm tracking things once it's all set up. So if you want to learn how to actually set up your plan, come join us in the HB90 Bootcamp. It is open right now for enrollment, and we start on March 19th. It's just a 7-day course, and it can literally change your life. I have gotten so much more done in such little time using this, because it not only helps you to determine your projects and tasks and everything else, but it also helps you manage your time and see a realistic view of how much time you have. So if you've been feeling super overwhelmed for a very long time because you feel like you're just never getting things done and you're never moving the needle forward, and even if you're struggling with motivation, often that comes from either fear or overwhelm or not having clearly defined next steps, I promise you this course can help. So let's keep moving forward. Let's say I have already determined all of my projects. So for goal number 1, I can write out the different projects and I'll have them available here for a select menu. So let's say goal number 1 is my writing goal. So the big umbrella project is going to be finishing my book. And I can come through and I can give that a color. So let's give that the color purple here. So finishing the book is one of the main projects that I have for that. Now, if I wanted to create additional projects, I can just continue to write them out here. So finish the book might be a project. Let's say my social media engagement is another project. So I just click that and then I can add another one. So let's just say that another one is to update my backlist books. So now I have 3 main projects that are available here. And when I click on this, I can choose which one. Now, the way that I have this set up is I put the colors of my project to match the goal that it goes with. So for me, if all 3 of these projects were part of goal number 1, then I would change them all to be this blue color so that they match the color code of goal 1, because eventually I'm going to come in here and I'm also going to add my big projects for goal number 2. So that's heart breathing. So let's say this can be YouTube videos. Another one for heart breathings might be the HB90 course, and we'll just leave it at that. So then I would come in here and I would alter these to be green, because right now green is the color of my second goal. So I'm going to do that there. And then let's say for goal number 3, which is more of my like health and wellness goal, I'm going to say drink water, treadmill, and let's say another one will be organize the house. So see how these are like really big projects. These are multi-step kind of projects. So we're not getting granular into the tasks just yet. And you will learn so much more about this in HB90 in the class if you come take it with us. So now I'm going to change all of those to yellow projects. So now I can actually clear these out if I don't want them to actually be the ones that are sitting here. But what I did when I first set it up is I set up all the goals with their colors, and then I came in and did just what I showed you now. And I set up all the projects and color coded them so that when I come in here to set up all my tasks, all I have to do is drop down and say, okay, now I'm dealing with the project of finishing the book, and I'm going to list out all my tasks. So I'll keep going and kind of show you that. So you kind of create whatever is going to be in this drop down select first. So now we're going to come over here and we're going to create, actually, I'm just going to use this text box here. And these are my tasks. They're just going to be text that I put in here. I don't need a drop down for that. This tags one I don't need, so I'm going to delete that one. And then the next one is going to be status. So this is very similar to what we do with a Kanban board, where we say these are the ones that are in the to-do section, the doing section, currently in progress, and then here's all the ones that are completed. So you can retitle this if you want to. Instead of saying not started, you could edit the property and change this one to do. And you could change the color of it too. So let's say we put to do in at yellow. In progress, we'll say doing, and we'll make that one purple. And then done, I'm just gonna put it in caps here, and I'm gonna change that to pink. So you can create your own colors here. And then how this will function, I'll show you in just a minute. Then we're going to add another property, and that's going to be a date, because we're going to put deadlines on all of these things. Then the next one that we're going to do is, if you wanted to, you could add another text block and call it notes, so that you can leave kind of notes to yourself as you complete some of these projects. And then another one that I use personally is person, because I like to assign it to myself, or if it's something that my assistant is going to do, I can assign it to her and she can then see it. Now, I wouldn't leave it in this private section. I would put it up here. You can see my quarterly task list is in the place that's part of our business space, but you don't necessarily need that if you're just the only person who's doing it, but you could assign it if you have a team. So since we're not necessarily working with a team, we'll leave that one. And the final one that we're going to put in here is another multi-select, and this is going to be quarter, because thinking ahead to the future, I want to be able, oh, that didn't select correctly. No, I don't want to multi-select. I just want to select. Thinking ahead to the future, I've got Q1, but I also have Q2, Q3, and Q4 of the year. And so I could use this same spreadsheet for each quarter and give each quarter a color, or I can just leave them as they auto-populate, and I can clear them out because they're not necessarily relevant. But that way, since I have typed them in, I have now created them as options that I can now select. So this is my basic setup. Completed, checkbox, the goal, the projects, the tasks, the status, where is it? Is it still in the to-do, or am I currently working on it, or is it finished? And then the date that it's due, any notes I have about it, and which quarter I'm going to be working on this goal. So right now, everything I'm working on is going to be, let's say I'm setting things up to work for Q2. So if you want to, you can just take that and drag it down across all of them so that you know this is my Q2 goals, right? Okay, so I do like to kind of make these as small as they can be for the section, because the tasks are going to be kind of bigger, and then the date will be pretty small as well. That way I can give myself more room for notes and tasks. So once I have my HB90 plan completely figured out, I would just come in here and populate all of these things. And the way that I'm going to do that is I am actually going to change this to all of these to goal 1, because the first thing that I did when I started creating my own quarterly task list, so I'll give you just a view of what that looks like, is I wrote down all of goal number 1 and I started going project by project until I had all the tasks listed out. Then I switched to goal number 2 and all of those projects, goal number 3 and all of those projects, so that it makes it really easy to have it. I didn't want to have like goal number 1 and here's this project, and then goal number 2 and here's this project. Then I'm going back to goal number 1 and here's this project. It makes it very organized if you do it in this order. So I would just go through and say goal number 1, and I'm going to have multiple tasks that have to do with this project of finishing my book. So let's say the first project or task that I decided I needed to do was I'm going to take off my caps lock now. So I'm going to say I write 3,000 words. Then I could do it again, write 3,000 words. And I could set up however many, let's say I had 30,000 words left to go in my rough draft. Then I could have this write 3,000 words on here 10 different times, right? Because I'm trying to give myself tasks that I can check off. And if I put write 30,000 words right here, then it's going to be weeks, if not months, before I can click that off. And that is not super motivating to me. I like to be able to click, most of us like to be able to click things off more regularly. So I'm going to break this down. I could break it down into write 1,000 words, and then I could copy that over 30 times. And all you have to do to create a new one is just click new, new, new. I don't think you can just, you can't just like hit enter. So you just have to click new, I think is the only way to click the new ones. So that's probably the most time consuming part of it. So you could populate this 10 different times, but let's just leave it here. So there might be other things that are involved with finishing the book. So I know I've got to write the words, then I've got to edit chapter 1, and then I might put edit chapter 2 and put every single chapter in here. Now, the more granular you get with this, where you're going to put every tiny little task, to me, the more motivating it is, but the more time consuming it is to set it up. For some people, you could just put a big one here that says edit the book, and that's going to be motivational enough for you. So one of the things that is so powerful about the HB90 system, the way that I've designed it, is that it is very flexible and adaptable to your own personality. You can use it digitally, you can use it physically, you could just have a list in your notebook, and all of those will be equally as important. You can track your time, or you can just not worry about your time at all. You can set up big tasks like big rocks, edit the book, or you can break them down into super small areas and say, edit each chapter. Or you could even say edit for 30 minutes and give it a time. Or if you were using my task block system, you could say edit 1 task block, and you could write that down 60 different times, and you could just have this really long set of your goals. And don't worry about how long this list is, because I'm going to show you how to organize it as we keep going. So those are just some examples, and let's say those are the ones that we're going to use, and we're going to drop it down here. I'm going to drop it down here so that we know that's all goal number 1, and that's project number 1. Then we would start goal number 1, project number 2, which is my social media engagement, and we would fill that out. So I'm going to just quickly sort of fill out some examples here so that we don't have to go through it all as a group. By the time you get done with all of yours, it's going to be a really long list like this one that just keeps going and going and going and going. But you're going to have another way of breaking this down. So I've just have some examples here. The next thing that you're going to do, so first things, all of these are going to be stuck on the status of to do until the quarter begins. But the other thing that you're going to do, which is also part of the HB90 system where I would show you how to do this, is you're going to set a due date for each of these. And it's going to be based on the quarter. So quarter 2 starts in April. So we're going to just set this deadline, I like to set my deadlines for the Friday of the week that it's due so that it can show up for that particular week. So I would set that one for the 7th of April. I'm going to set this one for the 14th of April. And as this goes, I'm going to create the space for it. Let's set this one for the 21st. If you wanted to set them as Tuesday goals or very specific goals, you could do that. But this way you're kind of giving yourself 1 week to complete each thing of your project. Now, you can set these goals however you want. These are just examples that I'm giving out, and I'm going to show you how I use them in a moment. So let's say with this social media, now we're on project 2, I'm going to go back and say social media posts for week 1, I'm going to put due by Friday or Saturday of week 1 because I want those to be completed on that week. And sometimes when I have these sort of recurring tasks, like I want to drink 60 ounces of water a day or other habits that I'm trying to create, is I just track them in my daily to-dos, but I give them a week that they're due, right? So then I would have maybe, let's say I wanted to brainstorm a Facebook event and I want to have it done by April 4th. And I wanted to create the Facebook event by the 5th. And then I want to follow through with the Facebook event by April 18th. And then let's say my video for the week always comes up on Thursday. So I'm going to set that as a Thursday goal. And you basically go through and you set all of these goals for yourself in terms of your deadlines. And once you have done all of that, which again is part of the course if you want to go through the system, once you've done all of that, you basically have your goals and your tasks set up the way that you need them to be. Now you could take notes here. I have been mostly taking notes after the fact, like after they're completed, I'll go through and add in my notes. But here's what we're going to do. So now that you have your whole, let's imagine that you've gone through and you've written out all of your task list, that is in a database here. But what we want to do is we want to bring it into this main dashboard that we've created, right? So I'm going to come here and I'm going to be in this middle column again. See, remember there, we've got a middle column again. I'm going to add a heading here that's going to be, I've got daily tasks there. I'm going to put weekly tasks, HB90, or let's put HB90 at the front. HB90, by the way, stands for Heart Breathing's 90 days. So Heart Breathing's 90-day system, HB90. And then I'm going to give it a color. We'll just give it that pink background again so it looks nice and pretty. Now what we're going to do is we're going to actually pull that database and all of its information that we just created into this page, but we're going to do it in a very specific way. So we're going to do /linked. And it's going to bring up this thing that says linked view of database. And when I click on it, it's going to ask me which database do I want to pull in. So I'm going to pull in this HB90 goals database that we just created. And we're just going to leave it in this existing view. It's going to pull in literally everything. So like if you put 1,000 items there, it's going to pull in all 1,000. And when you're trying to not be overwhelmed, this isn't necessarily the best or easiest way to arrange it. So we're also going to filter this. So we're going to filter it by date. And that way we can choose the date of the first week of this quarter. Once we've created this filter for this week or whatever, we're going to actually change this part that says date is relative to today. And we're going to change it to is on or before or is between. I actually prefer the is between. So we're going to say anything that is due between April 2nd and April 8th, which is a full week. Or you could put it Monday to Monday if you wanted to. So you could say Monday to Sunday here and change this one to the 3rd and that one to the 9th if you want to go based on Mondays. And now what that's going to do is it's only going to show the tasks on my task list that are due for week 1 of the quarter. So let's say today is April 3rd. I can come in here and I can see what is due today. And that is how I have mine set up. And then every week when I come in here to change this, I just change the filter. So here I can see my daily tasks and here I can see my HB90 tasks. And I can say, did I write my 1,000 words? Woohoo, I got it done. I'm going to add that to my completed list. And you can actually come down here to this calculate and you can say, what percentage have I completed so far? And if you want to use that as motivation, you can see like as you start to tick these off, when that updates, you're going to be able to see that you've completed 100% of your tasks for this week. Now, something else that you can do is if you are like, oh man, I did not get as much done as I had hoped, this week. Anything that doesn't get done for the week, so let's say these two didn't get finished, I can just come over here to date and I can say, okay, we're just going to push it back a week, and it's going to disappear from my task list for this week, and it's going to repopulate on my task list for next week. So I can come in here and I can change this, and I can say, all right, so I'm going to move this second one first, and then I'm going to move this one forward. And now I can see what I've got to do next week. And this video one that I didn't complete last week is now on this week's task list. So that is super, super helpful. But there's a little bit more. It goes a little further than this if you want. And this is another cool thing about Notion, is that you can click the plus sign here and you can create a new view. And this is where we can actually create a Kanban board similar to what you might put on the wall inside Notion. Now it's auto-populating it according to goal, but I don't want to see my Kanban board according to goal. I want to see it according to status. So I'm going to say group by, and I'm going to change this to group by status, because I want my board to be the same as my regular Kanban board, to do, doing, and done. So then I can also sort these by date. I want to sort them by date. And then I can filter them by goal. So if I only want to see what are my tasks that are due for goal number 1 in the order they're supposed to be due by date. And that will tell me what I have to do basically from top to bottom. So what I've done in mine is I have created a board for goal 1, and then I've come in and created a second board. So I'll put board here, created or grouped by status, if it'll come in. And then I can come over here and I can sort it by goal, or no, by date. So I want it ascending by date. So the most recent thing that's due is there, and then filter it by goal. So I'm going to click filter by goal. And I only want to see goal number 2 on this board, and I can rename this board goal 2. And then you can create a third one for goal number 3. So what this allows me to see is my complete task list, my Kanban board for goal 1. And so as I complete this, like, okay, this week I'm going to be working on 1,000 words, my brainstorming, and my Instagram posts. And then as they get done, I can move them over to the done section. And I can start to see how they're all finished. Then I could also create another view here that is a calendar view. And this calendar view is going to show me these tasks according to their due date. And on the calendar, I can actually just move them around. So in that instance where it's like, oh, I didn't get my Instagram post done, let me move that to Monday. I can just literally drag those tasks over so that, like, oh, if I'm a week behind on videos, I can just move them all down and adjust it. And that will also adjust the date that they're due. So on my dashboard here, I have that weekly task list. And then I also have the calendar. So this is that same exact task list, but it's just arranged in my calendar instead. And this has been really, really helpful for me to have a digital place where not only I can see what's due and what I'm working on, but also my assistant can see what's done. And I can see when she's finished up her part of the task. So if we're creating videos, she can go in and add closed captions to them and some of the other tasks for the course website, upload them to the site and all of that. And I can see that she's done it because she's putting it in this Kanban board and marking it off on the task list. Another cool thing here, if you want to be tracking your HB90 goals, is over here on this table, if you scroll to the very bottom of it, you can click % checked, and that's going to tell you how far you've come so far in your goals. So if I go out to my quarterly task list for this quarter, which is quite long, I can actually see that I've completed 63.4% of my intended tasks for this quarter, which actually isn't bad because we're just barely into the 3rd month where I should have been 60 to 70% in. So I have 30 to 40% remaining in this final month of the quarter. And that allows you to see it. It also allows you to set goals for yourself that are like, complete 60% of my tasks. And then you would have said, yay, I did it. So hopefully this I know it has been a longer video than normal, but hopefully this gives you an idea of how you might want to use Notion for yourself. And hopefully it makes you feel motivated for how to get your own goals done in a way that is really doable. Now, you don't have to set all this up in Notion. This is not a requirement of doing HB90. You could have a physical board, which I really enjoy because I like to be able to see it when I'm not on my computer. But another thing that's great about Notion is that you can actually see this on any computer as long as you can sign in, because it's web-based. So it's not something you download to your computer. It's something you can have across all of your devices, including your phone. Also, the HB90 program is super, super flexible, so that if you join HB90, you can use Notion, you can use Trello or Asana or ClickUp. You could just use a paper planner or notebook, or you could just set your goals and make to-do lists every day. And it's really up to you to take what you learn about managing your time, managing your energy, and breaking down those goals into bite-sized tasks that allows you to not put so much on your plate that you can't get it done this quarter. And it allows you to really focus in on what are the main things I can do that are going to make a difference in my career. And then at the end of the quarter, it gives you an easy way to say, did I actually achieve those outcomes or not? And what tasks contributed most to that goal getting completed? And it's just been truly life altering and changing, not just for me, but for thousands of students. We've had more than 3,000 people go through this course. And so many of our alumni continue to go through it quarter after quarter after quarter. And it just gets better and stronger and more magical each time. So hope you enjoyed this long kind of walkthrough through Notion. And someday I would love to make a template for you guys if I can figure that out. So let me know in the comments if you would be interested in a template that you can just upload to your own dashboard that has all of this kind of already populated. And I will see if I can teach myself kind of how to do that. But thank you so much for being here. If you are not part of our Heart Breathings community, I would love for you to subscribe over here. And I will see you guys in our next video, where we're going to be talking about setting up my B6 planner for my writer reset coming up in the month of April. All right, see you guys later. Bye.